Channel news. We're going to have intermittent sunlight. It's going to be directly on me or behind the clouds here as we go. It distracts me when there's direct sunlight on me because it's irritating. But I'm going to try to wing it as usual. Okay. I guess it's Halloween edition. I hope you guys had a good Halloween. I know it was fun for me. Here in this area, they celebrate Halloween like I remember growing up, where you just go around and say trick or treat, collect candy face to face, and everyone's running around trying to get as much candy as possible and dressing up in lots of costumes, including the grown-ups. It was good. I had a costume as well. I had a scarecrow costume, right? This is my little hat, obviously. I don't know if, I think I'm going to be a scarecrow next year too, but I'm going to change that hat around a little bit. The brim is too wide. Yeah, and I put it together pretty quick. I just had a shirt with some fake straw hanging out. All right, so I hope you guys had a good Halloween. It was very fun. I finally got a chance to celebrate it here in Vermont. I missed it the last 3 years here. I came to visit, but I went back to Texas. I came back and forth, and I missed it every time except for this year. And hopefully I'll be celebrating it many more years here to come. Okay. So yeah, what else is on the agenda? I wrote some stuff down. I got some notes. I actually put together a bunch of notes on my back orders too. So should we get into that first? Yeah. Let's get into that first. All right. Who do I have back orders for? I think it'd be a good idea to announce it. And if your name is not in here, just remind me. Yeah. Although there's gonna probably be a lot of emails. I don't care. Okay? Just email me if I forget you. And I know I've got a bunch. I got to send Sean Dalgetty a bunch of flakes. Sean provides leather items for this channel. He's one of the sponsors of the channel. So I'm going to send him some flakes. Yeah. I can't send everybody flakes. I don't have that many. So just keep that in mind. When I go through these back orders, I'm not taking any side projects anymore until next year. I start taking them around in the summertime, and then I have to cut them off before the holidays because I got holidays items I want to make for the auction. You know, which means I want to make more for the auction during the holidays. Okay. Not necessarily different items, but to make more. Yeah. Okay. J Angle, I've got several things for you that are, I got like 1, 2, 3, 4 items I'm going to make. Okay, those are on back order. I'm going to use Mike Tufts pressure flaking pads and some boppers he sent me and whatever else he sent me to try on video. He's another sponsor of the channel, Mike Tufts. He provides me with pads, or he is providing me. I'm going to start using them more now. Flintknapping, pressure flaking pads, and he sent me some really cool boppers. He's got a design for boppers. I'll be using those. Yeah, I include that stuff in my back orders because I got to make sure that I use that stuff. I've already said, yeah, I'm going to use them. I got to make sure I don't bury them within boxes of expended rock challenges, because I have a habit of sticking my rock challenges in one area, and when I finish that rock challenge, I transfer it to another area, and I don't take care of that other area, and a lot of times I'll accidentally leave something in that area that I'm supposed to be working on, and I'll forget it. I'll forget about it. Yeah. So if I write it down, I'll go, wait a minute, what is that doing over there? It's supposed to be over here. So yeah. I've got several points I'm making for people in trade that sent me material. Okay, I consider those back orders because I don't always do that. I'm communicating through the window here. The nurse just came over to check on my dad. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, I make items in trade for rocks, but I don't always do it. But yeah, I've got several of those on back order that I want to do, and not everybody who sent me rocks knows that I'm going to make them something in return, but I want to do it. Okay, and some of the guys, yeah, they know that I'm going to make stuff in return. I got lots of hunting points to make in return for rock trades, so I got those on my back orders. All right, so I've got, let's see, who am I doing hunting points for? Let's see if I can skip around and see. Let's see. I guess I still got some. The wind is changing. I've still got some hunting points I want to make for Jeremy Huntley. Yep. Let's see. Will Davis. I need to send some off for Will Davis. Yeah. But these are big hunting points, 250 grains. Those are difficult for me to do because I need to get into my prime stuff to make 250 grain hunting points. So I'm probably going to have to start heat treating here out of necessity, because I'm running out of enough material to make hunting points of that size. The reason why it takes so much material is because if they don't make weight, or if I break them, they don't get made. It's very wasteful to make hunting points, in case you don't know, because they have to make weight, they have to be sharp. If I drop them or break them, they don't get made, and they've got to be not only making weight, but they've got to be a certain weight. Okay, it's a very wasteful process, and I need to make sure that I don't use up all my good stuff from my auctions to make these hunting points. The reason why a lot of nappers, I think, don't make hunting points very often is because of the wastefulness. Now, I may start making hunting points strictly from glass. You know, this glass stuff, blue glass or whatever. I don't know if it shows up. It doesn't show up. I may start making them just from glass only if I'm going to make hunting points, because it digs into my prime stuff, like I said. To make a 250 grain hunting point requires at least a 3-inch spall, at least. If you start with a 4-inch spall, it's even better, because then you make them heavier than they need to be, and then you just trim them down to make weight. But you need that room and that space. In a 4-inch spall, you got curvature, you need and that kind of thing. In most spalls, you have a curvature, so you need a longer spall to get the right size. 3 inches pushing it, 4 inches is good, and 3 and 4 inch spalls are my prime material. Okay? But I have promised to make those. But the reason why they're delayed is because of that issue. Okay. I'm going to nap some large chunks of glass for George Sanders. So that's coming up. I'm going to be doing some glass. I did some obsidian. Now I'm going to be doing some glass. And hopefully get back to doing other things. Someone asked me recently to do a Shuriken, or a throwing star, like a martial arts throwing star out of flint or chert or glass or whatever. Just nap one. I've received a request like that every 6 months. Can you do a Shuriken? Can you do a Shuriken? Every year there's at least 2 guys requesting it. And the reason I don't do it is because it requires my prime material. Again, a shuriken is about 5 inches in diameter to be effective, right? Or 4 inches minimum. I used to have books on ninjas back in the day. When I was in high school, I researched ninjas because I thought they were pretty cool, and they used shuriken or throwing stars. And I think the diameter on those is 4 or 5 inches. That gets into my best material. Anything 4 inches or more is my best material. If I'm going to be napping something like that, it's got to be for something special, not a shuriken, because it doesn't make sense to throw the stone by itself. If you make a shuriken out of glass or stone and then throw it by itself, it doesn't have the potential energy to do much damage. And they're not used to do a lot of damage. The shuriken are used to distract the enemy for whatever reason. It's an irritant. It's not a lethal weapon, although I'll probably get comments to the contrary. Okay. Yeah, if you're Superman or Hercules, you can throw a shuriken and maybe slice into someone's neck or something. But they're for distraction. Okay, something that'll wound the enemy or possibly get into their eyes. Or if you hit them in the face, it's going to be quite distracting. Yeah, I'd rather hit them in the face with something like an arrow, okay, than to spend time throwing these little shooting stars. But anyway. That's my bias. I think that they're ineffective and they're for combat. So I'm not interested in making those for that reason, and the reason that it gets into my prime material. So I'm not going to make them. However, I do have an idea for a multi-hafted point shuriken, where you start with a central disc or a core for the shuriken. It's a flat disc made of bone or wood with holes drilled around so that you can put in 4 shafted points like spokes around that central disc. I can see that might work. Okay, so I can put in like 6 points around this central disc and then throw that. Okay, I might make one of those. But it requires 6 points, all right? It takes me a whole week to make something like that because the points have got to match. The points have got to be a certain weight. You don't want the shuriken to be lopsided when it flies, and I want to be throwing it. I got to make 2 versions, one with stone and one without stone. I'll throw the ones without stone so you can see how it works because I don't want to break the stone points, yada, yada, on and on and on and on. Okay? All right. So that's why I haven't done that, but I might do it. Okay. Enough on this shuriken. Hopefully I pronounced it right too. If not, oh well. Oh well. Let's see. Yeah, I got heat treats to do. I still get questions on heat treat. Just look up Jack Crafty heat treat. Do a YouTube search for Jack Crafty heat treat, please. All right, I got several videos on the topic. I got a request for Ulu knife. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Paleo stuff and the Edens and Scottsbluffs. Okay, so I'm going to be doing Edens and Scottsbluffs both in stone and in obsidian. Stone, chert and obsidian. Okay, that's coming up. I consider that a back order because I've got some of that stuff to make to send out. Other Paleo stuff, I've got Clovis points still in the works that I'm going to send out, and I can't seem to see where are my Clovis back orders. I got my Clovis back orders in here somewhere. Let me see. I write pretty small, so I'm distracted by the video. I can't read fast enough. Besides, the wind is driving me nuts. I've got these in small print, so Some of you might be saying, just read it, dude, just read it. Well, I'm having a hard time reading. I write clearly, but it's so dang small. Let's see. So I can fit all the information on just one sheet. Otherwise, I'll have like dozens of sheets. Let's see. Oh yeah, AG points. I got to do some of those. Somebody wants me to do more bowling, bevels, and that kind of thing. Where are my Clovis backorders? I can't find them right now, but they're in here. All right, so I've got at least 3 people that are going to receive Clovis points. Yeah, I just can't see them off the top of my head, or I can't see them immediately. I don't know why. I might be skipping over them or something. This is getting me more frustrated than I thought it would. I thought this would make it easy. Oh yeah, if you want to see a front view of my napping, this is off topic a little bit. Let's just change the subject. If you want to see a front view of my napping and the angles and all that kind of stuff, just look up Jack Crafty front view. And just for your information, Jack Crafty is not my name. It's the name of the channel. My name is Patrick. I should have said that in the beginning. But yeah, if you want to see a front view of my napping or different views, just type in Jack Crafty front view. Or I've got a video that I nap a Gunther point. Just type in Jack Crafty Gunther, Gunther. That shows you a very good view of my front. That shows you a very good front view of my napping. There you go. Okay. Take a deep breath, because I don't know why I can't find the some of the stuff I was thinking about announcing. Anyways. Yeah. You can send a reminder to me every once in a while, and I would appreciate that. It's not going to bug me. If I've got something that you need, that we agreed upon. Yeah. Because I need to be reminded sometimes. All right. Changing the subject. Let's get into some other fun stuff. Today's soup. I tried some stuff I got locally, but it's prepackaged. It's got preservatives, but it's called Vermont Maple Bourbon Barbecue Rub. I mixed that in with the chicken bouillon that I normally use. And I didn't read the ingredients before I bought it, so I just went ahead and bought it. I brought it home, and it has lots of sugar in it. And I can taste the sugar. But I put some of that maple bourbon barbecue in here. Barbecue rub spice in here. It is good. Yeah. And I did cheat and have sugar yesterday. I ate a bunch of Reese's Pieces and M&M's. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be irritable for days when I do that. Anyway, it's pretty good. I can taste this spice. However they do the maple bourbon or the bourbon spice, it's pretty good. Not that I like bourbon, but I can taste it. I like the taste of bourbon if it wasn't for the alcohol taste. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Just so we're clear. I don't like the taste of alcohol at all. Although I have, I do like drinking beer sometimes and stuff. For some reason, I cannot stay with something too long because I get sick of it, no matter how good it is. And I've also got very particular preferences on stuff. So it's kind of a weird thing. Yeah. There are certain things that are my favorites that I like to stick with over and over and over. But if I stick with it too long, I get sick of it. It's so weird. But anyway. I also added balsamic vinegar to the soup mix too. Just to see how that would work all together. So I've got chicken bouillon, this maple bourbon rub, spice, and the balsamic vinegar. Not very much of each. And now I got a yellow jacket attracted to the sugar in this mix. Yellow jacket today. Well, it's been unusually warm. Yeah, we had a frost last week, 3 days below 32 degrees, and they're still active. Yeah, so I try not to consume sugar, but this is pretty good. Even with all those ingredients mixed together, it might seem like an overwhelming thing, but it's pretty good. All right. I'm not a chef or a cook or very experienced in cooking. What I'm doing is I'm trying to get myself in the habit of relieving stress without medication by either breathing exercises, meditation, or things like soups or smokes. Now, I did this yesterday. I smoked some of this yesterday and all last week. And yeah, nothing compares to tobacco that has been well cured and aged. Changing the subject a little bit again. Doing the leaves thing and experimenting with different plants and the leaves from different plants, I found, bottom line is, a lot of those are very irritating to me. Yeah. And then I came back to the cigars to see if this would be as irritating as some of the other things that I smoked in the pipes that I have. And this is not, believe it or not, it's not as irritating. So, yeah, the mullein is irritating. Everything is irritating. Even something like mullein where you can smoke it to relieve certain lung conditions, I find it irritating. And it doesn't taste that great either. But that goes for a lot of other ones too, a lot of other leaves and stuff that I've tried. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to be trying less of the leaves and more of the inner bark of various plants. Okay? The inner bark contains less of the natural pesticides that leaves contain, because plants have to defend themselves against insects, right? So the leaves are especially vulnerable to insects. So there's a lot of toxins that the plants produce in the leaves. Now with tobacco, the toxin is nicotine, which by coincidence has an effect on the human brain. Same with caffeine and other chemicals we won't get into. Okay? Yeah, the toxins in certain leaves actually have either beneficial or good, so-called good effects on the human brain. But I'm thinking that most of the plants contain toxins that are not that great for you, because I have reactions. Either I get a sore throat, a stomach ache, brain fog, or just general fatigue with most of these leaves that I've been trying as smokables. Okay. All right, so that's the update on that. Yeah, am I going to get back into smoking cigars? Occasionally. I can't do it. I like them a lot, but I can't do it regularly. I get sick of it. Yeah. Okay. They say that nicotine is addictive, but when you're neurodivergent, your disgust impulse is a lot stronger, I think, than your addictive impulse or something. I don't know. It doesn't work with me. I don't get addicted to stuff because I get sick of it. Okay. All right, changing the subject one more time. We're going to get into, someone asked me, why are paleo points so well made? Paleo points. And, you know, with all the considerations taken into account, like I was mentioning that early peoples lived like, or Stone Age peoples, I should say, lived like homeless people, or people that are transients, or people who are working with limited knowledge, limited time, limited resources. Okay, so why are paleo points so well made? That was the context. The answer to that is most paleo points are not well made. That's a stereotype. Yeah. Paleo points being well made is a stereotype. If you look at collections of paleo points, and Clovis points, and especially, and other points from that time period, you will see that very few meet the expectations of modern spectators. And I call them spectators because a spectator is interested mainly in entertainment and the wow factor. Okay, spectators are different from researchers in that respect, and most people who are under the misconception that paleo points are well made are spectators. Okay, and not to say in a derogatory manner or to as an insult. It's just the way it is. Yeah, paleo points being well made is a stereotype. Now, are there well made paleo points? Oh yeah, definitely. There's excellent examples and basically perfect examples, or what they call G10 or more or higher in the collector community among paleo points. Yeah, of course. But that is true of every time period, not just the paleo time period. There are beautiful and basically perfect examples of every point style almost in every time period. That includes paleo. But in the vast majority of cases, everything is average or lower in terms of quality. I shouldn't say average or lower because it doesn't make sense, because the average will be right in the middle. To a spectator, what looks like average is the actual normal. Okay? So, normally, points from all time periods are made expediently. They don't look perfect. They're odd. In some cases, you have variants that you don't know how to classify, and that sort of thing. They're dull. The edges are weird. They got one type of edge on one side and the other type of edge on the other side. They're sharpened differently in different areas. They've got grinding where it doesn't make sense. They got no grinding where they should have grinding. All this kind of stuff is the normal. Okay? So, let me get it straight or clear. In my observations, and if you read the literature and you get deep into it, you'll see that the normal is the average, or how should I say this? The normal is what spectators would consider blah or meh. Okay, that's the normal. There you go. Now, within this context, paleo points are associated with megafauna, right? Mammoths, mastodons, giant animals like bison antigua or something, huge giant bison, that kind of thing. Yeah, but the reason why they're associated with those animals is to help determine or help to support the analysis on their age, the age of the points. The points are associated with megafauna in an attempt to establish their age. Okay? I want to make that clear also. The vast majority of faunal or animal remains associated with Clovis and Paleo are not megafauna, but regular deer species, all the kinds of deer species, bear, all the kind of bear species, small game, bison, elk, as part of the deer species, And small game, did I say that? Let me start over. The vast majority of faunal remains associated with paleo points, including Clovis, are not megafauna. They are bison, deer, bear, small game, and even fish and birds. Okay? Just like all other time periods. And it varies depending on location. If you're near the ocean, you're going to get more fish and more shellfish and ocean type of animals like seals and whales. Inland, you're going to have different species, but that's location dependent. Okay, there is variation in locations, so I can't make a general statement that the vast majority of remains with paleo is deer and that kind of thing, because it depends on your location. Sometimes it's not deer, sometimes it's bison, sometimes it's fish, sometimes it's seals, sometimes it's other aquatic animals, etc., etc. Okay, but just to make it clear, megafauna are associated with the paleo points because of the need to determine the age of the paleo points. Okay? All right. Not because they were hunting them exclusively. Okay? All right. Okay, I got that out of the way. I can't believe that there's still confusion about that. It's 2024. I thought we were over the various paleo misconceptions like Clovis first and mammoth hunters and perhaps a Solutrean origin to Clovis. I thought we were all past that, but I guess not. People are not reading the research. And not to say that all research is good, but if you do enough reading, you'll encounter the good ones. And the good ones are recognized by their correct flow of logic, their honest representation of the data, and the clearness of the writing. There's not a lot of jargon in the good stuff. Although some of the good stuff is lingo-ish, most of the intelligent writers who are concerned with facts and data and who are up on the latest research will write in a clear manner and not use a lot of jargon or lingo within the research community. Okay, and they will not form opinions based on a lot of input from social media. Okay, why does some research base their opinions on input from social media? It's for exposure, I suppose, and for trying to achieve popularity. Okay, unfortunately, in order to get funding, you've got to seem like you are in the consensus. All right, and social media is one of the culprits in justifying consensus and contributing to consensus. But again, I'm going to make very clear, consensus is not science. Support for ideas is generally a weak concept. Ideas must be tested, must be criticized. Why criticism? Because criticism is more highly scrutinized than support. Support is weak because when you receive support, you tend to accept it rather than reject it, even if it's kind of shaky or dicey or not legit. You will tend to accept it. So it's much quicker to establish a stack of support than to establish a stack of testing. Okay? And social media has increased this support stack exponentially. Yeah. Which is not good. Not good at all. Okay. I was having a discussion today with AI this morning, I try to have a discussion with AI before I do these news videos, but it got me irritated. The sun's getting me irritated, and the fact that I can't find some items in my notes on the back orders gets me irritated. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, much better. Yeah, I was having a discussion this morning with AI. The thing to remember these days, it may change. Who knows how long it'll take? Maybe it won't ever change. But anyways, when discussing things with AI, I found that I have to make sure that I tell it to ignore ethical considerations based on culture, or just basically ethical considerations altogether when you're talking with AI. Now, when you're talking about with people, that's different. But AI somehow gets the ethics wrong. Okay? For example, if you ask AI about good governance, it's going to bring in culture into good governance. Okay? In case that wasn't clear when I said that. All right? I had to make sure that I tell it, just let's work within the framework of governance as the legal considerations, the structural or the systemic or the, I guess, framework of activities that are in law. Okay? The legal and the structural items are linked together. Okay? Let's just work with those and the results or the efficiency and effectiveness of these various different activities within the law and within the structure that has been established. Okay? And then AI starts to make sense. Once I specify this is what we need to do, it starts to make sense. If you are looking for guidance as to what to look for in governance, look at the structural and legal things. Look at the effectiveness and efficiency of these things like policies and laws and procedures and statutes. Okay? Don't ask AI about different ethics. No, don't ask AI different questions pertaining to or including what AI considers ethics, because you're going to get thrown off. Because it's going to go into the popular misconceptions. You know, it could be misconceptions, it could be reasonable conceptions, but it goes off into la la land. Okay? For some reason, ethics, the way they're defined, or the way that they're presented, maybe not defined, but presented, is subjective. You don't want subjective or subjectivity within your responses when talking about this kind of stuff. You want legal and structural information, and you want to know how effective these things are, what the criteria is for judging how effective these are, these laws and structures, and also how they are assessed and recorded, and where these things are recorded and assessed and kept track of. Okay? That's what I was having a discussion with on AI this morning. I just wanted to make sure that AI was getting contaminated, which it is, by popular culture, not to be confused with populism, but popular culture, unfortunately, is including a lot of topics and discussions and nonsense on social media. Okay? All right. For the autistic people, this discussion with AI is for the autists in the audience, okay? Autists like me that like clear, factual, literal in many cases, understandings and answers, okay? Because otherwise, it just, you have no anchor. You're just drifting. And then during the storms, you get thrown around. Okay, you don't want to be unanchored. You have to be able to be, as an autistic person, anchored firmly. Okay. What else? Let's see. Dang, 40 minutes. 40 minutes and I didn't even make a funny voice. Amazing. What else do I got? All right. I got some other stuff here. I found my natural asphaltum. This is from a beach in California, as far as I know. This is what the chunk of natural asphaltum looks like. I took a saw and sawed a piece out of here. It's not gooey. It's very stiff. But it's not flexible enough to hold a point in the haft without separating very easily from the arrowhead, especially when it's glass or obsidian. You can just move the point a little bit, you can hear a snap. And that means the joint is broken almost immediately when you jiggle the arrowhead with your hand, with asphaltum by itself. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to keep saying this, Native Americans did not have beeswax before introduction of honeybees by Europeans. Okay? Native Americans did not have beeswax. Now, you might say, well, what about bayberry wax? Okay, bayberry wax is similar to beeswax, but it's only available in certain areas. And maybe they didn't even use it because you need a ton of bayberries in order to extract the wax from outside the berry. You need a bunch, and you need, pottery, because you got to boil that stuff and the wax comes up to the top and you skin it off, and there's processes involved that require materials and items like vessels that they didn't have available to them. So there's that. What do you mix with it to make it sticky? Well, you mix pine pitch. It still is not going to be great. I got some pine pitch here. I got a bunch of it. All right, this is from Vernon Hess. Sent me a bunch. I finally found that batch. I said, that's where it is. Yeah, it was buried. And I found this too. I went looking through my storage. So I'm going to make some natural glues, and I'll show you. Okay, so you can mix asphaltum with pine pitch. It's okay. What I like to mix it with is gum base. From the rubber tree, latex, or any other gum that stays sticky. Now, pine pitch is kind of like a gum, but it's not the same thing as a water-soluble gum. Yeah, you can mix water-soluble gum with asphaltum. Yeah. And it does work. You can also mix latex with asphaltum. That works too. And when you melt it, I should qualify that. This is a hot melt. Pine pitch is a hot melt. A lot of the gums from different trees are not hot melts necessarily. Some of them are water soluble. But however, once they dry out sufficiently, they can be melted. So from hardwood trees, you can get gums that melt with heat. They will liquefy with heat, no problem, but they usually contain a good bit of water. You don't want that. You want to remove the water or dry the gum out and then try to melt it. Now, it doesn't always work with every type of tree sap or tree gum. Like I've tried to melt gum arabic in a powdered form, doesn't work. So you will need to add a little bit of water. Yeah. Now, can you add water and gum and asphaltum together and mix it? Yes, because asphaltum has a low enough melting point that the water will not steam off. You know what I mean? It will evaporate eventually, so you've got to keep stirring in the water if that becomes an issue. I haven't had it become an issue, but I think it may become an issue, especially when you have to heat this up, or when you accidentally heat this up a lot over a fire because you can't control, or you don't have a means to know how hot it is. In other words, it's hard to control the heat. You could get sputtering and bubbling and all kinds of weird stuff if you use water with this. But anyway, I usually melt this stuff under low heat. Okay. But this is a solid block of asphaltum. Now you can mix artificial resins like hot melt sticks with asphaltum as well, and you get something like this. It doesn't look all that different, but it behaves a lot different. It feels about the same. It's nice and hard, but the good thing about artificial hot melts is that they are much better than the natural stuff, I've got to admit. And they will stick to arrowheads a lot better. So there's that. What else? I just got a bunch of this other stuff. I've got different mixes. Oh yeah. One of my most effective mixes so far with roofing tar or asphaltum is, adding gum base, but also adding pure talc. Not the cornstarch type talc powder. Pure talc, TALC. It's a mineral. Okay, it's a volcanic mineral. Right? It comes from volcanic ash or something like that. Anyway, talc in pure form, powdered, is very effective when you mix it with this hot melt instead of using charcoal. I don't use charcoal in my mixes on any of my mixes for hafting knives or arrowheads. I've tried it before. It doesn't make any sense. I can't get it fine enough. Now, I have mixed lamp black with this stuff. I have mixed finely powdered charcoal, but it's expensive. I'd rather use that money to buy something more effective like pure talc, TALC. Okay. And what's the proportion? Half and half. Always start with half and half when mixing anything, and then work from there. A lot of times you'll have to experiment, but I always start with half and half. It makes it easy. Okay? Especially if you have a half and half mix, you can do the math and figure out how much you need to dilute it with another ingredient to make it 25%, 75% on the next mix, and that sort of thing. You just kind of divide everything in half as you go. So my mixes are either 50-50 or 25-75, or what is it, 12 and 88. I divide everything in half. So that's the way I mix. Or I try to dilute it. I try to dilute the lesser ingredient by half each time. Did that make sense? Yeah. Okay. I think. Of course, maybe that's why I can't get a fine tuning on some of my mixes, because I use that system. Instead of making a whole new batch with different proportions, I just use the same batch and add ingredients to dilute. Okay. Yeah, I might separate it into two batches and then mess with one batch and then keep the original batch. But I don't like doing that either, because I end up with a bunch of containers of stuff and they're all labeled weird. And I'm going, okay, I don't have enough information on that one. I mean, how is it different? It just says the proportion, and it might say something like kind of sticky. Okay, kind of sticky. It seemed okay at the time. It made sense to put kind of sticky at the time, but what does that mean exactly? I'm getting back into this. So either I just keep one batch that's really good and the proportions of it and the full description, or I'm going to have to develop a system where I can put lots of notes on each little batch, which that's what I don't want to do. But, I might have to do it. All right, so what else? I have this pumpkin sitting in front of me. I was all proud of it last night. I carved a pumpkin last night. I'm going to wrap this up on a happy note. This is the first pumpkin I've carved myself in more than 15 years or 20 years. Yeah, and I carved a little hole for a light bulb. How do you do that? Well, you just carve a hole, but for what? This is from one of these things. You've seen these little shop light contraptions. They got the little clamp on them. But I just took this thing apart, and I'm left with this. I'm going, yeah, okay. That, oddly enough, I made a hole big enough for it to fit in there. Yeah. And then oddly enough, the light bulb, oh, this is important too. This is a 9-watt amber bulb. It doesn't look like it's amber here, but when you turn it on, it has an amber glow. Okay, so I just kind of screwed this in. Is it working? We shall know momentarily. It's not working. Come on, come on, come on. There, how many nappers does it take to screw in a light bulb? The world may never know. And then the switch is on the outside, so I can turn it on and off. Anyways, I was all happy about that yesterday. And it makes me happy today. All right, so that's it. The pumpkin and the soup. Oh, that's good. It's getting cold. Hopefully tomorrow it won't be so hot. And pumpkin in the shed says it's too hot in the shed. I don't want to go in there today. I put him in there just so he can tell me when it's cool enough. Right? You're weird, man. Yeah, I know. I'm a flint napper. What can I say? All right. That's it. Bye-bye.